Hello, this is Dr. Cecily, and welcome to my channel. Now, in this series, my topic is the spiritual serial killer. And I kind of got that together by looking at, and I'm focusing on the narcissist. Now, I kind of got that from, I'm also doing a series. I want to just make a disclaimer. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I do have a doctoral degree in leadership, but I am also a retired sergeant. So when I got interested in this about the serial killers and the narcissists, I have been doing my series on, down here in the ATL, that our own mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, is reopening the case about I think it was about 28 murdered, and I think one was missing children, because remember Wayne Williams, the one that allegedly, I thought, I was from up north in Detroit, I thought that, and a lot of my people thought up north, that Wayne Williams had been charged for those murders, and he had not been charged at all. He was charged with 2 adults. So with the new technology, our mayor is reopening it. But within that, I got to looking at serial killers. And then over the weekend, I started looking at narcissistic behavior. And I've been looking at narcissistic behavior videos for a while. And there are a lot of good information out there, even from a personal experience where this one person said he was a narcissist. But I finally got somebody I really like. Her name is Dr. Ramani, I think. Dr. Ramani. She's a licensed clinical psychologist, and she's a professor at, I believe, in Los Angeles. But I actually did some binge watching for the first time. I never did really. I think maybe I did some binge watching on some televisions. I think it was a comedy show I did binge watching, but this is the first time I really actually spent days just binge watching, because she has a series called, if you look on her YouTube channel, it talks about the glossary of the narcissist. And I liked about her, like I said, I'm making a disclaimer, I am not a clinical psychologist. I'm just a person with a doctoral degree, but I'm in academia. But I'm taking this experience as a Christian, because I'm also a born again believer. I believe that Jesus Christ died for our sins, and that he's coming back again, and that he's living through us now. And what I want to say about that is, I begin to look at the spirit, because she said, Dr. Ramani said this, that she gives you traits and distinguishable traits and patterns and methods about how the narcissist work, and then also how the narcissist personality disorder works. And she believes it's a smoke. I think she called it a smoke, a secondhand smoke, something for the mental health. In other words, she believes that the narcissist personality disorder should be in the DSM-R, and that's the diagnostic. It's like a manual, and it describes mental behaviors. And I really believe, when I look at that spirit, because you have to realize, and I mentioned in the other video, this is part 2. Now, that I mentioned about how they are methodical. And I'm talking about the narcissist person. They are methodical in psychological warfare to come against your beliefs, what you think, what you like, what you dislike, and to discredit you and devalue you. It's like a domestic abuse relationship. It's love bombing and it's abuse. Love bombing and abuse. And realize that the thing that makes them associate with the psychopath and the sociopath is that they all lack empathy. Empathy is being able to have feelings about certain things. Say, for instance, if a police car came and you begin to sweat, especially as a black person. Even though I'm a retired sergeant, if you see police officers, I'm gonna be high alert, because they're killing black people. In fact, just a day ago, they killed somebody and paralyzed him, with a black man with 3 kids in the car. I will be covering that in my leadership series. But like I said, the purpose of this is to give the Christian and give the impact and give that person that has morals and good standards, give them some workable methods and techniques to come against the strategic psychological warfare of Satan against the will of God for your life. And as I begin to look at her videos, Dr. Ramani, I begin to think about it because I've looked at many for the last 3 years. Because if you're like me, just look at our world. We have a classic narcissist in the White House. There are hundreds and thousands of people that are sick with COVID-19, people that are losing their limbs, fingers are getting amputated, they're dying, the deaths are still increasing, but he thinks he did a good job. But and it's about him, and the people are about to be, thousands of people are about to be evicted, and you see what's happening in Congress. It's about power, greed, and money. They think nothing about the working person. But you know what? They're still a God. But I want to get back to this spirit, because that spirit that you see in the White House, that you see in Congress, that you see in a lot of bank executives, and then also in a lot of, they call it white collar crime, because I want to know why they got a white collar crime. I'm going to do a segment on that, because you got bank leaders that's able to go ahead and retire, yet get still millions and millions of dollars. Look at Wells Fargo, how they stole all that money, and people were overseas. These were soldiers, and the wives cars were getting repossessed because they were stealing. So why are they still being able to get their pension? But see, that's a classic narcissist. They can make millions of dollars from the people. They don't mind taking, and that's the key mark of a narcissist. It's about them. A team has an eye in it. And when you get to recognize that the psychological warfare against your spiritual will, against your physical, against your soul, that you realize this attack that the enemy is coming to kill, steal, and destroy. And it's not like a vampire that sucked the life out of you. What they want to do is get into your mind. They want to manipulate your hands. It's almost like you asking God, get through my hands, and as I let you, give you a seat in my heart, as I listen to your word, as I pray and fast, I'm seeking how I can please God according to his word. Now, for the narcissist, they're their God. They want to come and sit in your heart where God is. The whole purpose is to slowly degrade you. That's what psychological warfare is. To turn you over to their beliefs, to turn over to their wicked ways, to turn you over to their lies, to turn you over to their covenant breakers, their truth breakers. I cannot go on. They will kill, steal, and destroy. Oh yes, they will even kill you. Yes, because not only it's bad to be killed physically. That's why you got a lot of domestic abuse. I was in a domestic abusive relationship. It is like that. Love bombing, and then abuse, name calling, love bombing, and then devaluing. That's how the super narc acts. And I wanted to get with them because I believe that's narcissistic psychological disorder, narcissistic disorder is a super narc. And then I'm going to break it down about the demons, but let me deal with the controlling and the manipulation first. The whole purpose for them meeting you is to mirror everything you do for their data and for their knowledge, so they can use it against you. You remember that. And even when they come back, and when I'm saying this, I'm talking about a series of patterns. I'm not telling them one time, but one time when they have just totally disvalued you and you called them out. Realize when you call them out, you are going to, it's going to be holy hell, because they want you almost to the point for you dare challenge them. Remember, they got a deep spirit of insecurity. They're insecure, and they lack, and I want to tell you this too, they lack empathy. They may understand what you're going through, and they know they're doing you wrong. But remember, whether guys, they got it when they were a child, because they didn't get the love they need from their parents. But I like what Dr. Ramani, she breaks it down about the families and the jobs. Because some of you people and some of you that have had narcissistic injury, you cannot leave your family member. You cannot leave your job. But I have experienced narcissistic behavior. I'm talking about that narcissistic personality disorder of entitlement, chaos, blaming, intimidating, putting you on a guilt trip, love bombing, and then devaluing, and then each time the abuse gets worse and worse. That's why when people go back to domestic abuse, that's why they end up getting killed, because it's an escalation. And this is the same thing that this spirit does, the narcissistic personality disorder, because they use all those things: manipulation, control, fear, and they just keep going. All of it is to control. And God said it comes against God's will, because when they want to control your will, when God gave you a free will, it becomes witchcraft. Because God said that He wants you, we are to do His will. We need to seek His will, because in His will, I believe, is everything we need. And Satan knows his time is up. And I believe that super narc, that personality, psychological personality, narcissist disorder that has not been labeled. These people have not came forth. They are leading our country. They're leading it. They're in Congress. They're in the police force. I believe that guy Chauvin that sat there and killed that man, George Floyd, for 8 minutes. I believe he's a narcissist. But see, they don't go seek for help. But for the clinical diagnosis and to break it down, you can go to Dr. Bomani's station, her YouTube, because it's very, very rewarding, and you'll get a clear understanding. And like, she will make a claim that she does not talk about the spiritual, but because I am a Christian, I can tell you how that spirit works, because it's coming to take control of you. It's coming to take and wipe out your dreams, your visions, because remember, there's no E in team. There's an I in team. And from the time, and don't think, this is what they're going to work on. So I'm going to get back to that empathy. So they lack it for whatever reason. So this is learned behavior. So everything they're doing, all you are is extension. And I'm just talking about for those who can get away, not for those who they may have kids, they may have elderly parents, they may be in a job, but I'm telling you, I have encountered this narcissistic behavior in adults, in churches. You see it in our government. You see it in every phase of the organization in society. You see it in the bank executives got it big, just ripping off the people and keep doing it over and over again, and still millions of dollars. Well, this narcissistic personality disorder, to me, is a super narc, because he will or she will have all these attributes. And remember, I want to get to this, that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. So my purpose is to give you some word and give you some weapons of warfare, because our warfare is not spiritual, but it's mighty through God, through the pulling down of strongholds. So we got to pull down that stronghold, because I believe it's time for the people of God to rule and reign. I don't think it's going to be, they said the asteroid is supposed to be hit the earth. Okay, they're supposed to say, somebody's going to pull a bomb, or we're going to get nuked, or we're going to get killed by COVID-19. But this demon, the super narc, I call it, is more deceitful, because recognize that it's a strategic warfare. It's a methodology they use. This calculated, it's intentional, it's planned. When you met them, it was already planned to take advantage of you, to devalue, to build you up first. All that listening and all that, felt that was comfy, and that you were bonding. Well, for you, it may be bonding, but for them, it was getting them to get information and data to use against you. And this is how you know, because when they get an opportunity, they're coming at your vulnerability. They're coming at when you're the weakest. Just remember that. I remember the time I had to get told me I had a few months to get out of school. My mother, they thought they had water on her lungs. I had just moved. The pressure just was on. And then went to help a person, and then they unmasked themselves, because recognize they're going to take the mask out. And when they take the mask out, it's going to be like, wow. It's going to feel like a bomb dropped, because it's going to be so crazy. And when you first call them out, they seek to kill you. They seek to control you, because how dare you call them out? Even when it's legitimate wrong, they have their methods is entitlement. Their method is deception. Remember, this is strategic warfare. It's all covered. And they got their demons working. I call one of them, they operate under Jezebel's spirit. And a man and a woman can operate under the same spirit, because all it is a spirit that comes and shut the mouth of the prophet. It comes to shut the spirit of truth, because God said, I am the spirit of truth. He said, let God arise and every man be a liar. So what it is, that narcissistic behavior, personality is coming against the truth in you. Because they are covenant breakers. They are covenant, they cannot keep agreements. They are truth breakers and they are covenant breakers. They cannot keep truth because they come in deception and a cloak of lies. And you thinking they're coming because they're interested. No, they're interested in getting your light, getting your prayer, getting your strength. And it's almost like they want to come in and just put their arm in you. When you asking God to work through my arms, they want to come just let you. In fact, they want you to bypass your decision, your free will, so they can do their will. That's why it becomes manipulating and deceptive and evil when you want to take somebody over for your own pleasure. And remember, these people have no soul and they know they're doing you wrong. But see, this is how they come with the Christians. But see, the Christian, if they're fasting and praying, if you're keeping on the whole armor, if you're keeping that faith shield up to quench the fiery darts of that spirit that comes to devalue you, and they will get you at your weak point. Remember that. And you'd be wondering, how could somebody come at your weak point? And it will be strategically planned, thought out, and to the end. And even after you call them out on something that's egregious, something that's unfair and unjust, a blind man can see it. They gonna still turn around and try to triangulate you and get somebody else involved. But you got to call them out. And then when you get through finding out that this was always planned, when you get through finding out how this was always planned, you'll be like, oh my God. But then you still give them another chance. But even in talking to them, they're never going to say they're sorry. Never. All they're going to do is find things to poke at you. Do I need to get somebody younger to refer to your age? Anything to degrade you or devalue you, they will do it. Just in the conversation of you telling them, look, you need to have some accountability. They don't want no accountability. They're entitled. They want to be first. They want to be best. So you would never shine in their light, because in the background, while you helping them shine and you praying for them and you giving them money, you give them support, whatever it may be as a friendship, and they do the same thing at the beginning. But at the point, the confusion, and I call it a black hole. It's crazy. Because remember, not only do they operate under manipulation and control with Jezebel, they always also operate under the spirit of Leviathan, which is the pride demon. So basically what they're doing is sucking you, taking the life literally out of you while they control you and manipulate you. And this is what you're going to have to do. Like I said, let me talk about the empath, the lack of empathy. They are shallow, they lack empathy, and this is what they're doing. They have learned to be the nice person, to be the decent person, the person to get along. Now, if you look at serial killers, the first thing you will see, I've seen a repetitive theme with the serial rapist, with the serial killer, and for those who kill for desire. They all have lack empathy, and they all want control and power. Remember, the sexual rapist, the pedophile, is not raping because they get off on it, or they get emotion on it. It's solely for control and manipulation. And even the serial killer, who oftentimes may be a psychopath, they lack empathy, but they said that that's more than likely because they are missing something in their brain. And then the sociopath is like the narcissist, because they lack empathy and they know they lack it. But they oftentimes, and majority times, do not get diagnosed until they get locked up for killing somebody, or they get locked up for running somebody over, because they're dangerous. These people are not the play. They are super narcs, but God got somebody that's in the backside of the mountain, somebody that's praying and seeking the Lord, because you have to realize this battle is not yours. God said, this battle is mine, said the Lord. But how do you fight the super narcissist when in reality they are strategically, they have methods. They use shame, guilt, intimidation, fear, the fear of you being alone. They use all that. They use your weakness. They use even your likeness. So what do you do as a Christian? You have to speak the word. You have to speak the word, and you got to stand on truth. Because if you don't speak the word and you start coming over into their way, then you're going to be just another tool for them, and you would have lost the faith, and you'll be another empty shell of another demon called the narcissist, the super narc. And you will be out getting other people's soul and their will. So how do you come against it? You have to command your words. You got to tell God, I'm the head and not the tail. You got to tell Satan, he a liar. You got to tell him, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. You got to tell him, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Jezebel, Leviathan, whatever technique they're using, you come against it in the name of Jesus. You come against it and you rebuke it. Because God used your word, the word, and the shield of faith, and I swore to come against the enemy. And when you feel these alarms coming, because when you get under attack, that's why this book is good right here. It talks about breaking controlling powers, and Robert's Liardon, and it talks about breaking controlling powers, is learning to say no when feeling guilty, and how to survive an attack. Now, I like what Dr. Romani, when she breaks it down, because she would break down everything on a narcissist glossary, so you can understand when they first meeting you, they just meeting you to mirror you, so they can get data. They're talking to you. They seem like they're interested. But when you cut them off, and I'm talking for those who can, because just like the COVID-19, we can tell people to stay home if you can. But many people, especially people of color and black people, are the first line workers, and they have to work. And so we know we can tell those to stay home, and then the other ones, they will have to go to work and be safe. Now, all I can tell you is to apply that to the super narc. For those who can leave and make it, don't dry walk, wall or whatever, don't ghost, leave, period. Make up in your mind when you leave that you've had enough, don't go back. And then what they'll do, they'll come. Then these are the ones that's in the workplace. I suggest that you look at Dr. Romani's, the clinical licensed psychologist, and she explained about family and friends. Because basically what you have to do is you have to come with them with logic. You cannot get in your emotions, because they're looking to push your buttons. And with those people that's at home and have kids and have elderly people and family members, you have to stay. But for those who don't, leave, run for your life. And what they'll do, they'll come. This is the ways they'll come back. They'll come back like in, first of all, guilt. And they come back fear, because a lot of people do not want to be alone. But I have to deal with this one about guilt, because somebody tried to come back with guilt on me. And I was like, wow, this is interesting, because what they'll do is they'll project their feelings on you. Okay, remember that. They're always projecting their feelings on you. They always are blaming you for something that they feel. They're good at being projectors. Okay, projecting. That's their number one strategy. And what they will do, they'll come after, as a Christian, they'll come after, because they know that the enemy deals with guilt and shame. Now, another thing is, we know that God has a word. And he has certain words about resentful and being bitter. And you know, if you got a bitter root, you can't pray. You can't get to God. So this person asked me, do I resent her? Well, first of all, I wasn't even thinking about her. But then I thought about, okay, now she's trying to use the Christian thing, because, see, you can't be bitter. If you're bitter, you can't get to God. Your prayers will be stopped. Your growth in Christ will be See, the forgiveness is for me. I forgive the person. But God said for us to be what? He said, be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. So what we have to stop being weak-kneed, jellyback fish saints and be realized just because God said how many times to forgive, not 7 but 77 times in one day. But when you're dealing with somebody out to kill you, I don't think he meant for you to keep going up there and putting your neck and putting your head or get into their space when they resent you. Remember, they resent you because regardless of your faith and beliefs, they resent you because you are not letting them be in worship. They want your worship. They are the eye in the universe. Everybody else, husband, kids, jobs, they are all just an extension of their pleasure. That's all. That's all. Just their pleasure. They're not concerned about your dreams, your visions, your desires. In fact, their tactics is to destroy every one of them using psychological warfare, using love bombing, loving you and hating you. It's also Saul's spirit. A Saul spirit that did what? It was loving. Oh, come on, David. Love. Oh, I love you. And then he was throwing arrows at him. It was a love-hate. That's a classic example of a love-hate relationship. And the narcissist personality, because they got fragile egos. They're insecure. They're like children. I can't get what I want. Oh, I'm mad. And they're going for the kill. They're coming against the will of God. And that's where it becomes demonic, because now they get aided with their other imps. The Jezebel spirit that operates in man and in woman, because they're coming for the intimidation and the control. And then the fear, because God said who you fear, you serve. So you have to go. And then there's sometimes you have to be in a situation, God will tell you go, but tell you be careful. And he'll tell you when you leave. He did me like that. Because what happened is that the Holy Ghost will be like alarm. You feel all these alarms going on. It's not for you to panic. It's for you to hear the voice of the Lord. If you want to go to that place, go there. But be alert what's going on. Because the narcissists, if they're in that room, they have devised a plan to set up chaos. And I call it an empty abyss hole, because you can't don't try to rationalize that, oh, they've been going through. No, what was somebody said? If a person show you themselves the first time, believe it, and realize the mask can't stay on for so long. It can only stay on for so long. And then when you stop giving them what they want, whether it's money, time, friendship, admiration, whatever, they out to kill you, because how dare you say no to them. So for those who can leave, run for your life. And this is how they come back with the guilt. So when this person asks me that I resent them, so what you telling me that because anger and bitterness, anger and disappointment usually comes from resentment for being treated unfairly. But I don't resent you for treating me unfairly, because I've forgiven you, because I know the forgiveness is not for that person, it's for you. But the narc is counting on you going back to them, because you'd be like, I felt what you should be angry. You should remember, you still in this physical body. This person has came and devalued you. Remember, they're behind your back, demeaning you and devaluing. In fact, they have plotted a plot for you in this hoovering stage. And so when they're trying to get, and another thing, they feel that people don't want to be alone. You got to be willing to be alone and be willing to stand for God alone. Yeah, because this is what this is about. This is about the good fight of faith. This is about standing for truth. This is about standing for God. This is about letting God have his way, and then realize that even though the enemy, this is another strategy that the Christians have that's to their advantage. The narc will always underestimate you. If you can stay out of your emotions, do not take it personally, even though you know they're pushing your buttons. Be calm. Because it gets crazy and crazier. And I've had several situations, and you'd be like, "Dog, this is really crazy." But they want, and then this is another sign of a narcissist. They want you to normalize their craziness. I got that from my niece. So they bullies, They intimidate. They're angry. They're resentful of you because of whatever you can do. Well, maybe you're authentic. Maybe you're real. Maybe you're forgiving. Maybe you're kind. But they don't have an ego. They're fragile. They get people so they can live their ego through them. They get it through the admiration, through the building up. They get through using and manipulating people. You're just an extension of their pleasure. So if I resent her, then that's a form of hate. But wait a minute. God said, be what? Wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. How do I do that? I do that by hating the sin. But then too, I have to also physically, I have to remove myself. Why would I want to be in a state of, because this is how the narcissist, and this is how domestic abuse is. Like you're walking on edge. You don't know when the axe gonna fall down. Because they're not going to change. That's why they're not diagnosed. That's why, because they are, and that's why they're running our world, because it's the prince of the air. But you have to come against that spirit of intimidation and that bullying spirit and that Jezebel spirit and that strong pride spirit and that strong entitlement. They're coming to take out your light. They're coming literally to the kill. And I think, and I believe, because God knows that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. The enemy knows, yes, they talking about an asteroid come about to hit the earth. They're talking about the COVID-19 is out there. They're killing our black brothers and sisters. They're killing people. The police department is almost like it's demonic because it's killing unarmed people. And then we got this narcissist spirit working through these people. It's the spirit of evil. But the time is not yet. I just hope that the church is praying that thy kingdom come, that will be done on earth. I don't think God just came and just died for us to give us the Holy Spirit that we won't reign and rule. Why would he say we be the head and not the tail? The reason why these super narcissists, I call them super narcs, is because they have come in with legions of demons. And when the empath shows up or the Christian shows up, it's not because we're trying to, like some person said, oh, you're trying to disrespect me, or you're trying to what? No, you expose yourself. You just brought your darkness into your light, into my lightness of God. You just brought your evilness into my truth, God's truth. You came into my light with your darkness and exposed you. And with the Christian empath, they have to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Not only speak it, but then you have to protect yourself. And you have to heal. And you have to take that time to be, no, I'm not succumbing to you going to tell me how I feel. That's a sign of a knock right there. That should be a sign. Because there was never no sorriness. See how they want to project it back on me? When you have repeatedly been disrespectful, repeatedly I've called you up, repeatedly. And then not only that, somebody said, oh God, you look so much better when that person not around. They just feel like they was sucking the life out of me. But I knew that God was going to end it. I knew. And I knew I couldn't retaliate. And that's what you can't, all this stuff about how to get back at it. Nope, that ain't the way to do it. Because once you do, you become like them. You have to take the high road. You got to soar like an eagle. You got to go into the face of God. You got to ask God to burn out because you're going to be angry. Don't think I'm not angry. Resentful? No, I ain't bitter. Because you know what? I'm learning something about me. And that's going to be my next one, about the super empath. How you can use your strategies. How you can learn about your weakness and your vulnerability. And how to set yourself up for the next narcissist that come along. Because remember, it's from faith to faith and glory to glory. You think you're going to get to the next steps by just walking through the days, just climbing? No, you're going to meet bears, lions, snakes. Oh my. It's the demonic of forces. What they say, more levels, more devils. It's our process. It's our growing. So once we identify that demon, I believe we will have a head start. So just be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Keep your mind stayed on God. Keep your word. Sometimes I put the word on. Sometimes I look at prayers, witchcraft prayers, coming against witchcraft. Because remember, it's control and domination over your will, so you will not fulfill the will of God. I pray that you fulfill the will of God. My prayers have been that I do not go out of here. Like Miles Monroe said, there's so many cemeteries with Christians that love God and they have never fulfilled that God-given will. Let it not be your story. Let your story be that you fulfill the will of God before the last breath was taken out of your mouth. That's my prayer for you. That's my prayer for me. And God bless you. And see my part 3 series. God bless. Stay safe. And thank you for listening.